And hello, everyone. Hello, and welcome to this new path of the pure love and harmony. Shannon, welcome.
Mhm.
I'm really glad. Take it from here. I guess that would be the most natural.
No, hello. Hello. I'm really happy to be here. I yeah, I mean, you guys, seriously, like I love what you do from the moment we connected. I thought what you do is incredible. So it's an honor and a joy to be here to get to talk about this more.
Wonderful, wonderful. So actually, maybe that would be a good kick in to start this series of the podcasts. How did we met? I guess that would be the how all of this occurred.
Yeah.
And
Well,
look how long we got
I
along. Beginning,
know.
right?
It is just the beginning. And yeah, I love how the universe conspires to bring people together like it did with us, and all through my dog. So
Once upon a time.
once upon a time. Yeah, gosh. Well, feel free to chime in, Sasha. I will start the story. But yeah, I had my beautiful little dog Izzy, um, who had gone too long and needed her little nails trimmed. So I stopped by to ask if you guys could do that for me. And yeah, we are in Fairfield during the pandemic. Yeah, that's a good point to make. We're during the pandemic, and I was in from Los Angeles, so Izzy had not been able to get groomed and get her nails, and she was way overdue. And I had heard great things about you guys, so I popped in just to see if you guys could help me out to at least get her nails trimmed till I could get her in to get groomed. And you were very sweet to fit her in. And then I think then really kind of fast forward when we did go ahead and do the grooming, like
I think
I let you
actually
know.
I think
What,
actually the first time was the one that we like. Why
why
did you
did
came
it?
back, right? And
Yes.
what
Okay.
happened next is a true story. I don't know. Do you want to go there tonight, or we can keep that for some other time? But it's also either or,
Maybe we'll do
as you
like
feel.
maybe we'll do cliff notes tonight, and then we can go deeper later.
Okay, then that portion, I think that would be because it's very emotional.
Yeah.
So you go through what you feel it's appropriate and nice for today.
Okay.
And then later on, we're gonna do on some other time. We're gonna
We can go a little.
specially dedicate easy episode because I think
Yes.
she deserves.
Yes. Yeah, I think
Okay.
that would be a beautiful thing to do. So, yeah, just like the Cliff Note version is, so as you started trimming your nails and stuff, you were asking me what had happened, and she had started having seizures. Um, and you had asked what had happened, if anything had happened before then. And quite a lot had happened before then. And so as I shared some of that with you, and we'll get into that more later, but as I shared this with you, I saw on your face, oh, oh, and as if you understood why she might have been impacted and started having seizures. And I was like, oh my gosh, I want to know, I want to understand this because Izzy taught me so much about love. I mean, at the time when I got her, I was working way too long in the corporate world, like 12, 14-hour days traveling over the week. And when I got her, it really showed me how much I was working all the time. And so the thought of that I wasn't, as much as I loved her and I was trying to give her the best life, to think there might have been some things I could have done better that would have helped her stay in better health was really like impactful to me. And at first it made me sad, that I could be responsible for that. And then it made me go, you also helped me understand that dogs have a contract. They get to decide too what they take on and how they respond as well. So I started just to understand the relationship between humans and dogs better, that they really are part of our family and they get impacted in the family just like we do, like with the rest of our family. Yes.
To play by the rules of the family, that dynamic the dog is belong to.
Right.
And every single family have its own rules, its own subconscious, the family consciousness that creates a subconsciousness of the family individuals, right? And then when the dog that operates on completely other energetical level, that we are just, we just do to get to that point, to at least try to live in that world of pre-material world, if we can say, the spiritual world, that, yeah, like kind of that's everyday life. That's the dog life 24/7. And for come true, right?
Yeah.
And then that's the very good point where you said, like, the dogs are assigned a certain role in the family, and they can't skip those rules. They must obey by the rule of the law of the nature, because they don't have a choice.
Yeah, it's fascinating though. To think of it that way. And I was impacted too by, again, going back to how I treated her, right? Like ways I thought I was helping her or taking care of her might have been not the best way to support her. And so she might have ended up feeling like she had to protect me more rather than me looking out for her. And I think that's something that a lot of people would benefit from knowing about. Like if you could share more about that, because I think a lot of us have the best intentions because we love our dogs so much. They really are pure love and harmony. I mean, they really are that name, and they add so much to our lives. But in our way of maybe over coddling, or if we talk baby talk to them or whatever, like certain things we do that we need to understand better how that interprets for them.
We don't speak their language, neither they. And when we have this, we are learned to do that. We are born into this, I must say, like a fake environment that all of us spend lives and all kind of techniques in order to overcome all of these layers of conditioning. Like, who am I? Right? Who am I? If I pull away my family environment that I grew in, and genetical inheritance of all that comes, good and bad, that comes with that, my shape of the nose and color of the eyes, but also the emotional burden and emotional happiness that comes with the family memory, and then we have schools we choose, the towns we live in, the environment that shaped us for who we become today. In order to meet who I really am, I need to transcend all of those layers and to come to the source, to the sap of my existence. And the dogs see that. The dogs are in tune with our sap that we are not aware exist, and we are searching for it.
They're attuned to our path, like our path to enlightenment. They're attuned to that.
There you go, because that's what the purpose of any relationship is, to help us grow.
To help us grow.
And then, why I'm able to, talk about you and our, usually relationship, like our relationship is great, but if you can just change this, then it would be perfect, right? And everything is projected. Everything is like towards you. Mm-hmm. If you would just, then we would, right? But it's a mirror game. So what bothers me in you, I should look within myself.
Right.
And then oftentimes fails because the pressure of that is too much, or some other relationship served its purpose and it's time to move on, right? I love you for who you are, and if I expect you for who you are, then I need to find my place next to you, and that might not being together, right?
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like perfect human relationship.
That's what I was going to say. You're talking about humans right now.
Yeah, I was talking about the humans now. That makes sense, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then, but we need to have courage to do that. Going out from the relationship on time is the most magical. You need the magical tools to know when the moment is to move away, to move forward,
Yeah.
right?
But that's hard,
That's,
Sasha. That's like,
of course, it's hard.
that's like, I don't know very many people that would feel like they were successful at exiting the relationship at just the right time.
We knew.
Like, I think we need to learn more about that because.
And there we have them as a guardian angel to talk to us, like to learn. Let's talk about this. Like, always the dogs come in our life when the time is right. Mm-hmm. And you would always you would see, actually, for example, we had this partnership relationship. It was a business relationship, right? And I said to myself, like, oh my God, we need to have a dog, like me and Vedran, like it's our, we do all of this pure and harmony, and then we have this amazing guy that was working, Patrick. You met Patrick?
Yeah.
And he said, like, you need to leave what you preach about the dogs and a human-dog relationship. It doesn't make sense for you to go out and teach other people without you having actually a dog.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, it's time to. But I knew that bringing a dog will change some sort of the family dynamic. Because once the dogs come in our life, nothing stays as it was.
Yeah.
Because the dog becomes a source of stress, representing something that I'm not having in the relationship I am, and now I need the help and support. That can help relationship strengthen and grow, or it can help relationship split.
Okay, so let's talk about that for a minute. Like, what are the factors?
Just a second just to finish this little thing, because I said we had a dog, like we have a dog, okay, now.
Yeah.
And how now the dynamic of the dogs coming in our life was, like, we had this misunderstanding in our business relationship with the partners, okay? And now it becomes like tense, and we tried, and everyone is trying and doing his best and things like that. And finally I said, like, oh my God, like, we're gonna have a dog next week. And I was like calling the lady and said, yeah, we need a dog, and I like puppies, and I see that you have a puppies, and she's great. The vet is amazing, breeder, and cares about the dogs perfectly. But let's go this, like, a dog came to our home on Thursday. Mm-hmm. So now our family now is Vedran, myself, and the dog. That was Thursday. On Tuesday next week, we split with a partner, because the dog came in the place of the real support towards our movement forward. And then, whatever happened, the breaking up the relationships is never present, but always happen and the dogs can show us when the time is to consider making a next step. So whenever we get a dog in our life, there is a time to see the context in which dog exists in our life. And later on, when I put a little order of harmony constellation to see, like, what to do, things like that, and we can dive in the order of harmony later. Like, we saw that our little dog and our partner stayed at the same place. And the constellation, like a stars, you can have two represent of the same energy, and occupying the same space. When one comes, the other goes.
Okay.
Or forcefully doing it brings much suffering and pain.
Forcefully doing what?
Forcefully remaining in the constellation that doesn't exist anymore.
Right.
Because we don't see tomorrow, we don't see the future, we don't know what the next step is. We want to be secure that there is a check coming, this is coming, everything is coming, and you make compromise. You always compromise with yourself, but not you, but me or we or everyone is compromising. And there is always price to pay to every compromise. Price is a good because the price we need to pay over brings, how you say that, brings more than the compromise you give. So some compromises are good to make.
Right.
The other ones are fertile.
Yeah.
And no one benefits from them.
Yeah.
And the future is somewhere else. And then you see our life unfold. Tap, 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 tap. The dog comes, this closed chapter, and the dog becomes, because every single time the dogs are in a role of representing something on someone. Because you said taking the burden is actually playing the role of something or someone that is buried in conscious mind, and that we are not aware of that.
Yeah, so interesting. It's really interesting that like they can't. So the two in the space, one has to go.
Yeah.
And if you try to keep them both there, then it creates suffering.
Yeah.
So that's making me think. I mean, you know some of my story, but when I was with my now ex, partner, there was me, my stepson, his son, my dog Izzy, and then we got a dog for Max, from my stepson, and I'm now wondering, like you said, I didn't think of it in terms of getting another dog is going to change our whole family dynamic, but it did. It totally did. Yeah, I mean, I wonder, I don't know for sure what it represented, but I mean, we were on a path and we ended up, ending.
Yeah.
So it's making me wonder,
you can maybe dive in deeper, like when the Izzy came in your life, the circumstances of the life.
Yes.
Was the Izzy resource you needed in order to end the relationship on time, getting that strength that you didn't have?
Yeah. Well, when Izzy came into my life was pre him. But when she came into my life, she totally came into the support I needed to leave my corporate job.
There you go.
Absolutely, she did.
It's always
1,000%.
It's always the resource you need in order to move on. It's easy to move on out from the relationship, out from the partnership, out from the business, out from here, out from there. The dog come in our life as a source, as a resource.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the resource we have in our life is always present. We are just not aware of them.
Yeah.
Sometimes the resource come as an inspiration from the music, in the book we read, the dynamic that sometimes we will be able to recognize the resources around us, but we don't live present enough to be aware of those resources, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes the life pushes us in the materializing the resource.
Yeah.
Sometimes it comes in a form of the friend or the relationship of the humankind. But when the real life struggle begins, at this point of our consciousness, the humans can't help.
Yeah.
Because it's an ego.
They cannot help,
challenge.
you said.
They cannot, because they should. That should be like that, but we are not aware. Now, in order for, I think, the consciousness of our at the moment is like egocentric. The mankind is very egoistic, right?
Definitely.
But that's a way of getting rid of the ego. I don't know, into a super ego, where we can see everything as is.
Yeah.
It's that this bubble of the ego should explode.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the balloon explode, you need to overblow it. So I think that we are somewhere in that the ego is so high in our relationships because it needs to blow away.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
That makes sense, maybe?
Yeah.
And then, because of that, when the life-threatened changes, life-threatened challenges are in our life. For example, if you do not move from the relationship of your business, corporate life, you might die.
Yeah.
Right? If you don't move away from the toxic relationship, you might be killed.
Yeah.
If you don't move away from the I don't know where, whatever we need, but we can't do it alone. That's the whole.
Yeah. Oh,
We can we are
so it's so
sorry.
true though. No, I'm just affirming what you're saying because I even called Izzy my angel because she helped me have the courage to get out of the corporate world because I was getting sick. I was actually much more sick than I thought I was because I was just pushing with adrenaline and I was in such a toxic environment. It turns out I had like bleeding ulcers. Like there was all kinds of things going on that I was worse than I thought I was, but she helped me see that. Like
And that's
because I didn't want to leave her home those long hours by herself, I started seeing like how long I was working and how long, I didn't want to always leave her with someone else when I traveled for work. So I started seeing how much I was traveling and how out of balance my life was. And she taught me that. She showed me that. And the love that she had, like the supportiveness, like that love that they have, that pureness was such a different vibration than what I was having at work. That it also really mirrored the absence of what was in my world.
yeah. And then that's a wonderful way you put it together. Then you feel it's I don't think so it's a conscious at that point, because I think like now you are watching the story and you are able to reveal
Yeah,
the
it's
pieces, right?
hindsight.
And
Yeah.
then but the moment when it's happening, you're just not aware
Yeah.
of that happens,
Yeah.
right? You need so and then when it happens, while we are going through that process and we take the steps needed in order to move on, because they are not easy. It's not easy to move away from the corporate world that you feel is depending on you. It's not easy to move away from the marriage that is caught in the financial bubble, that you feel like you won't get enough for what's yours if you even think about divorcing, right? So and then you get a dog, and then you are not alone. You have someone by your
Yeah.
side that trusts you and has you for who you are, and they love you for who you are, that you are not even aware of who you are.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
then we feel guilty towards them, right? Because you feel there is someone that you start depending on that actually depends on you. And then we start overloading them with a care that is unnatural for them. And
That's unnatural for them.
yeah, because we take them as a humans. We
Right.
actually, because what we do is we see the dog as the dog is, like Izzy or little Henny or whoever dog is, right? But something what we are connected is that what is the source of our support that lives through the dog. So I
This
see the dog, but I feel someone else, someone or something that I need for my support. And the guardian angel is through the dog, in the shape and form of a dog.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then what we are actually paying back to a dog is not to a dog, but to that what the dog represents. And that we are conditionally connected to that. And that is why we see that as another person. And there is a humanization of the dog starts.
Right. Yeah, I can see that.
And that's a
I can
moment
definitely
of
see
the
that.
that's the moment where everything collapses, because the dogs are not humans. The dog, a little Izzy, if you would be able to take an egg of the little Izzy and put a sperm of the wolf together in the lab, you would get fertile. You would get offspring of theirs that can breed moving on. So the Izzy is a wolf
Is
in a
a wolf
cage. Yeah, he's a
in a
wolf in a
cage.
cage. It's the
Yeah.
same species in a cage,
Yeah.
and in a shape and that's because they are so sweet, and we can carry them in our purses and bags and things like that. And on the other side, all of that power that we get through them
Yeah,
we miss the point.
it's
We miss the
incredible.
point. And then we miss the point, but human pure love, because they saved our life to go through that
Our
moment.
life.
And now we are paying it back, but without knowing whom we are actually paying, we overburn
That
them.
gets a little confusing though.
Okay, go.
Can we back that up for a second? So
Yes, please.
we think we're loving them, but we're humanizing them because that's how we know how to love. So kind of like to rephrase that, we love them the way we know how as a human, but they need to be loved as a dog because we're loving them
Yes.
based on what they're giving us, but really that's something else.
Okay, yeah, you're right. There is a point, but maybe I just used too many words to explain a simple thing.
No.
And
No,
it's
or maybe
common,
I just, it went over my head and I need to like bring it down a level. Okay.
Please do so, because I think the other people would love to learn the same, I guess.
Think,
okay.
People would say that my heart's in the right place, and I think most people feel like they're loving and taking care of their dog, but so it's kind of like a wake-up call to think, oh my gosh, the way I'm loving them isn't actually the best way to support them.
Yes. So the answer to that question can be very simple and doesn't need an explanation. And it can be done. Yes, we do need to see dogs for who they are,
for who
they represent.
Okay. And what they represent is?
Okay, there you go. For example, family constellation and family dynamic is very complex way. And as we said, the family consciousness creates unconsciousness of the family individuals. Does that make sense?
Family consciousness creates unconsciousness of the individuals.
Yes, that belongs to that family.
Okay, yes.
Okay, is very wide and broad, complex structure that includes a lot of ones that we know about, but also a lot of ones that we don't know about. For example,
that came up in mine.
Yes, descended children.
Yeah.
People, for example, uncle that no one loved because he gambled, or the grandmother that died alone in a Budapest with the 20 cats and the palaces that no one learned exist, and all kind of those. So every family has a secrets, right?
Yes.
And the secrets of the family become a destiny of the members of the family that move on.
Oof.
It's oof.
Yes.
But it is.
But it is. I get it.
But that's the beauty of it.
It's
and then
beautiful,
look at
that's kind of like generation. Sometimes we refer to that like the generational trauma gets passed down.
Yes, but
we're not even
aware
of it.
Yeah, but that's the beauty of it, that we are not aware of that. Every single time when you say I know, it's not that, because you know about that. That's not a secret. It's not buried in the subconsciousness. If it's in a conscious realization of it, it doesn't bother us, because then becomes a choice.
Yes.
So if it's something consciously in my mind, I know about that, then I just, it's difficult for me to have a diet, or it's difficult for me to stop gambling, drinking, whatever. At one point become a choice of me letting my destiny control, because I don't have a power over it, because it's harder than me. The drive, and until I do not make a conscious decision, and discipline myself, lock your both hands to a table, so you don't go to gamble or something like that. And if you do that for 21 days, your physiology will start changing. And by changing the physiology that's not impacted with the bad behavior anymore, that's a conscious decision, we change within.
Yes.
And as we change within, the within starts radiate through our actions. And then how it's beautifully said, first we act, we are unconsciously competent. So we don't know what we are doing and why we are doing.
Right, yeah.
When we become aware of something, then we become consciously competent. So now I know what I'm doing. So if I want to change the behavior pattern, I need to take it to a point where my behavior becomes unconsciously competent. So I'm doing the right thing unconsciously, like driving a car.
Right. Yes. Right.
Okay, now I think I took a too broad, I went too much away from the point, but let me at least try to, you kind of like, I love having you here because this chit chat
Yeah. Well,
might help me, I guess. Like, let me get back just to this point. Like, so now we are, for example, something makes me very angry. Okay. So now I need to see why. What triggers me makes me angry. What are the triggers? So if I really want to work out the trigger and my anger, I need to see through the fear, through the anger, right? To see who is behind the anger, whose destiny I'm living. And when these triggers around me arises, I feel someone else's anger, or is it my anger? Does that anger come from my experience, or that anger come from experience?
So like someone else in our family lineage, like
Yes.
what was passed down in our DNA.
Yeah, there you go.
Versus what is like my own behavior.
Experience, yeah. So, and now the source of that anger that becomes my life theme, because a lot of things makes me angry. I'm easily thrown out from the balance because no matter what, if I don't look through the anger, I will not be able to meet the source of the anger. That's nothing to do with the person. Person is just a trigger.
Yeah.
So when I approach that hidden dynamic that lives in my DNA and makes me angry every single time when someone pushes the button, I will have more and more people coming into my life to push the button so I can finally see the source of anger.
Yeah.
So, for example, the source of anger can be mine, but let's go and bury it deeply in our unconscious mind, because maybe it was trauma that's in order to survive, the child has only option is to freeze, right? So you freeze in time that doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can relate
but
to that.
What is my source of life becomes a source of my fear. It's the same, because if I can overcome a fear, can you imagine? For example, let's cope with the fear.
Source of life versus source of fear. Like source of life being like God, universe, being source of fear meaning.
No. I'm talking about the source, but I misunderstood, mistalked about, because I was talking about the anger. Let's stick to the anger, okay? So whatever makes me angry, I can't get rid of. What I need to do is I need to embrace the source of anger.
Right.
And when I embrace the source of anger, instead of being in my way, it becomes my source of life and my support, my resource.
Got it. Yeah.
It's the same point.
I get it.
Just the opposite.
Yeah.
The opposite side of it.
Well, and I also think you talk a lot when we talk a lot about that. It's like, again, our dogs as well as the humans in our life are there to teach us and mirror and help us evolve. If we're conscious enough to say, so if this person made me angry, that rather than blame it on that person, I look at myself and see, why did that make me angry? What is in me? Why am I reacting like this? And I get to learn more about myself.
Yourself. Yes.
And take complete responsibility for that. Like, that's how we change things, right? Like, that's how we change the pattern.
But that's why the family constellation is a magical news. Because through the family constellation, we can come to a source of that anger through the representative, and actually come to a source of the anger, the experience of the anger. It might be mine, or it might be, for example, oftentimes in a family constellation come to be like anger. For example, the first love of my mother that she was in love with, but alone, and she remained angry forever to that guy, and that anger just was buried in herself, and through her came to me, and now I become angry without knowing what and who is making me angry. So now I need a person to represent my mother's love of her life, right? That he didn't have a chance to live with. And through that person, I can connect that guy and have that love as my resource. So now if I have a dog in my life and I have a resource hidden in the guy that my mother was in love with, and that's my life resource, because every single time I was pushed wrongly, I get triggered and I become angry. The only way to deal with that is to embrace and give a place for existence of that person that my mom was desperately in love with. Mm-hmm. But also through that desperate in loveness, she became angry at him because he left for no matter what reason.
Right.
And she never overcome that grief that turned later on in. So now the dog represent that guy.
Oh.
Because I need that guy in order to work on my anger, in bringing that guy, because anger represents my mother's anger towards being left alone.
Okay, but the dog.
Can you see the dynamic?
Yeah, I see it, but I want to clarify. So
okay, go.
So you said your mother was desperately in love and also then very hurt by this man because he left, and that was passed on to you. The dog comes into your life and gives you the support to handle this. Is that what that is?
Support, yeah. To have that would be an easy way to say together.
So not that he becomes becomes that guy, but he gives you the support to work through the triggers and the emotions you have that you inherited.
Because that's anyhow part of me.
Yeah.
Those emotions exist in my DNA. I do not put them in my heart. Where do they belong?
Where do they go?
I want to be able to
Where do they go? Where do they go?
They live through the anger. Instead of having the guy in the right place in my heart, I need to have an anger. You need
to release the emotions.
Yeah, I release my mother's emotion. It's kind of, how you call that? It's replacement.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So otherwise we store all this stuff in our bodies and it creates illness and disconnect and all these other things in us.
So it's kind of like a very paradoxal. More I feel angry, more I feel alive. Because the anger just represents the anger of my mother. And in my loyalty to my mother, that usually goes like children are always loyal to their parents, no matter what they think or have the relationship with them. I don't know, did we get too much away from the topic, or we are still on the path? Well, because now I want to bring you to the point where I said, like, the dog is now representing that guy that I don't know nothing about. Neither my mom told any. She's dead now. She descended. She can't tell me that about him. But through the family constellation and working out with the anger, I met him.
You met him.
I met him. And I was able to place him in my heart where he does belong. And now he becomes my support. But if I would have a dog to represent him, I would be able to embrace the dog, embrace that energy through the dog, but I will misplace the guy into a dog. And now I want to pay my tribute back, but to the wrong point. It's not the dog, it's true. So who I'm actually talking when I'm talking to my dog in a human language, to the forgotten love of my mom. And that's human. And the creation of the dog happens because the dogs take a burden of our resource that are the past members and usually unknown members of the family.
Wow, that's a lot. That's a lot to sink in for becoming conscious of that. We're takes me a minute to get my head around the way you said it. Like, we love them in a way because we're loving that, like you said, your mom. That was that part of your mom is coming through the dog, and then that puts a burden on them.
There you go. Yep.
And that
because it's my source. That's my resource.
So then now the dog.
Instead of not knowing about what the resources are, I need to be angry or whatever feeling it's coming to be alive. Whatever gonna give shape, physical shape, and more, because anger you can feel.
Yes.
Right? You feel anger, you feel sadness, you feel everything. Those are the physical emotions. And once they are physical emotion, we feel present when we feel angry. As much as we feel present when we are happy, both of those things are, experiences of the body in the moment.
Yeah.
And all of those emotions are giving, are representing something or someone, maybe event, trauma, people. And then sometime they are so intense, and then we got sick and we die. That's as it is, but that shouldn't be like that.
Right.
And what we need in order to support, to go through that. So, for example, what would be the right way? What would be the right way for this? So my mom had this relationship, or you can take whatever, but maybe let me talk about this one because it's very emotional, and maybe a lot of us can kind of relate to that because we don't know the real love stories of our moms.
Right. Yeah.
And oftentimes,
as we get older,
in the time when,
as we get older,
sorry.
Well, like I think as we get older, you're like you said, you have hindsight, and you're trying to put pieces together to understand your life and why you are the way you are, and the patterns you've done, and why you have chosen what you've chosen. And you look back at your parents, and you start to put pieces together, and it's really helpful. But it's really interesting when you fold in a dog. Right? These innocent creatures that come in
to save
with
us.
But like, I want to just understand more how that is, because I think that I like the going back to heal those relationships with your parents. Like there's so much power in that, to understand where your wounds come from, and to also then be able to see your parents' wounds, like to see them as human finally, and what their hurts were. And then that can go back then the other generation, because you can see, oh gosh, their parents probably, doing the best they could, handed on some wounds to your parents, which handed them on to you. And as you start to understand,
at our age, when you touch a third generation, you are only in Second World War.
Right.
So you're already in that environment where the only way for us to be here is to go through that experience of the terrible disaster, what the world was going through. Who cared about how they're going to do that? It was just one purpose of them surviving. No one cared about how did they felt, what did they loved, what did they wanted. The only one thing mattered: survive.
Right.
And now we are here experiencing all of that, what they went through, and it's only 3 generations in behind.
Right.
You knew the parents, you knew the grandparents, and everyone that is, left in concentration camps, out in the battlefield. We all have those stories, and they're very fresh to a memory.
Yeah.
But we carry all of their fears and uncertainties and lost parents and lost fathers and lost mothers. And now we are here trying to come to a point of the better life, and it's never enough.
Yeah.
Nothing is enough. The house is too small. Then the house become big. Then we need more houses. Then we need more cars, more stuff, more money, more bank accounts. And what we are looking for is a peace within.
Yeah.
And what's going to bring the peace? Just meeting yourself as we are, with everything that we are. So now get back to the story of the mothers, and because that's usually that's why I picked this story, because it came up, and it was a very it might be intense story, because my mother and that generation around, she was born in 1949, so just after the World War, right? So that generation, I don't know that they will be like living the freedom of choosing the partner as maybe we do today.
Yeah.
So arranged marriages, and you can marry them or you can't marry them, or this is good for you and that's not good. And the impact of the parents was very much powerful for that time. It was normal.
Mm-hmm.
So it was this experience of the mother not getting married to the guy she loved is so much common to every one of us.
Mm-hmm.
Do we know who that actually is? And do we know what she was going through when she was writing the letters no one read? She was not able to send.
Ugh.
Will we ever get to know her grief about that? No.
No, she hid it. She hid it in her heart. Yeah.
But we experience something, know where it comes from.
Yeah. So, well, they talk about this. Everything gets passed on in the womb. You know, I was my graduate degree is in marriage family therapy and psychology, and that was fascinating to me how much is passed on in the womb. They can feel the pain, they can feel anxiety, they can feel joy, and the baby experiences all of that in the womb as if it's all real and happening to them.
Yeah, because it is happening to them because it's part of them.
Right, because they're so connected. Yes.
It doesn't end with the birth.
No.
It keep living, right? And doesn't end with the death. Yeah. It keep living in the ones that are around us, and that will be after us. So, and then let's get back to this story about how the dog represents someone that my mother loved so much. And instead of getting angry, now I have this dog that somehow makes me calm every single time I touch him. Every single time I see him, it's bringing me so much joy.
Mm-hmm.
What's that?
What is that?
It's not a dog.
What is it?
It's the energy. It's energy of forgotten love of my mom.
Yeah.
That lives through the dog, and it's source of my highest valuable resource that I need in order to gain strength and power for the hard decisions in a life.
Mm.
And then when I see the dog, and every single time I touch him, I feel like I'm not the person I am if I'm not petting the dog. Every single time when I touch the dog, I'm in connection with the energy of my mother's.
Your mother.
Yes.
So is it good or?
It's great, but it needs to be conscious.
Right.
I need to know that when I'm touching the dog, who am I actually touching? And that's what I'm telling you. That's where the confusion comes.
It's the dog giving that to you, and not to misplace it. Like, because it's almost like being needy for something, and like you take too much from somebody if you don't fill your cup, and then you get around someone who's really giving, you can, but like a dog is naturally so giving, so we can just project all of that onto them.
Yeah, because don't think that, that's a very powerful law of balancing between giving and taking. And the people are usually very, very more in a giving mood than they are in taking or receiving mode, because it's very, very much easy to give, and it's so difficult to take what's yours. It's very difficult to take what's yours, but what can be yours? Yours can be I'm very good in give. I give to the charities. I give help everyone that need. But also I give blame to the others. I give griefs to I give anger to the others. Also sources of giving. And I'm very good at giving a lot of other things that are good and bad as well. Okay? But then when it comes to taking is much harder. And as much as we think we are in receiving mode is, that's why the law is not called law balancing between giving and receiving. It's a giving and taking. So it's very active. The receiving is a passive. I sit and I wait to receive. And if someone gives me something, I'm okay. If someone doesn't give me nothing, I'm also okay, or I pretend I'm okay. But I'm in the very passive mode of waiting to receive what I think belongs to me. The dogs can teach us that powerful game of taking what's mine. taking what's mine is very important, because oftentimes we can, just because we are not brave enough, we will leave what's ours in the relationship that we go out from. I just want to run away from this relationship because it's so toxic. And I leave there part of me that I'm not taking with me. I'm not taking from the relationship what I contributed to the relationship.
How do you do that, though?
Take what's yours.
I mean, that just feels really abstract, though. Like if something's toxic and you need to go, how do you take what's yours if you've already,
for example,
given?
Okay, what's mine? What's mine in a toxic relationship? First,
you mean take ownership of yourself?
First, yeah. For example, that's not a little task to do.
No, it's not. But I'm just trying to understand.
First, what we need to take is the responsibility. That's what I'm taking with me.
Yeah.
I take responsibility. I not receive responsibility. I can't receive responsibility. I need to take it.
Absolutely.
So I go to the source of the problem in the relationship, and I take what's mine. I take my talent with me. I take my responsibility with me. I take my checks with me. And I leave what's not mine. Mine is not your responsibility. It's not your talents. I don't need your talents. I don't need to take away from you what's yours, because it's so plenty what's mine. And in this toxic relationship, what the people usually do, they want to strip other parts from what's not theirs.
What's an example of that?
For example, I want to hurt you because I was not empowered enough to move away when I needed. So I want to take and want to blame you for that, without first taking my responsibility for me staying in a relationship for longer than it was needed and necessary. So I want, by not taking my responsibility, I'm leaving my responsibility with you. And with that, I'm leaving a source of my strength. Will be left behind me. And also what I want to take, it's your responsibility. Because you are the responsible why our relationship is like this. Because that means blaming is coming like, who is responsible? And I'm going to take, you are responsible for the breakup, and you're going to tell me I'm responsible for the breakup. What happened there is this diagonal of taking what's not mine. I'm taking yours.
So healthily, though, then you leave and you take your responsibility for your part. They may or may not take responsibility for their part, but that doesn't matter.
That's not your problem.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. So if long as you take that, if you leave, you recognize it's toxic, you take responsibility for your part and take back what's yours, then the rest you leave behind because it's theirs. It's theirs.
What can I leave, for example, of mine in a toxic relationship? I can leave my good habits that I lost in a relationship.
Take them back.
For example, you need to take them back.
Your good habits, is that what you said?
Yeah, good habits and my talents that I stopped using once I started the relationship. I won't leave them with you. I need to take them with me. And then immediately, because that's a sacrifice, what you say, like, oh my God, I was doing yoga before I met you, and look at me 2 years later, I'm not doing nothing because you never wanted to join the classes.
That's just typical blame.
That's neither taking the responsibility and neither taking the talent.
Right.
But
taking it all, good and bad. But so then the dog, though, how does that work with the dog?
Because the dog's going to help us take all of that through them with us. Because what they can teach us, for example, they are always living 24/7 in present. They don't have a future or the past as an experience. They just live from the past experiencing, and until the pattern is not changed, and the change is instant. When you work with aggressive dogs, when you work with any dogs that have any behavioral issues, and you switch and create a environment in which the response the dog are willingly giving to us creates a pattern and habit of the good behavior, you lose anxiety, you lose aggressivity, you lose chewing, pulling, even getting getting sick. That's kind of maybe too hard to claim, but I saw with my eyes that the people that did their job properly, they were able to save the dogs by taking the burden that belongs to me away from a dog. But that's not able. We can't do that without doing a constellation or using some tools. So we need to do a constellation in order to see what the burden the dog is taking on them that makes them create this undesirable behavior.
Yeah, and I think that's what's fascinating, because that's something you do then with clients, a consult, if you will, like for the order of harmony, to see how that's working in the family dynamic or in the parent-dog dynamic.
Yes, that's what because there is a Doggy Mom Academy, Doggy Parent Academy is okay. This is the way with the dogs. And this is the way.
I know. I'm definitely doing this before I get another dog. Because for those of you who don't know, my sweet Izzy passed away. She hung on much, much longer than they thought she would make it, probably just to be there for me. But now that I've come to understand this more, I definitely would want to go through Doggy Mom Academy so I understand better how what I think is loving them is not necessarily their best support.
Yeah, because that's we need to learn the forgotten language.
Yeah.
What we call dog behavior is actually dog communication, and it's a language.
So, and when I talked at the beginning about when I was in this relationship and we added to our family a new dog, Izzy got aggressive. She was aggressive with her food, and just like I'd never seen her like that before. And I thought it would take time for her to adjust, because that's what they tell you.
Yeah.
Now in hindsight, I see she probably, there's something else going on. She felt like she needed to protect me, or there was.
But look, I just know a little bit of the pieces and puzzle from that story. But look at this now. Look at now what in the real life constellation changed. Okay.
Yeah, we split up.
You have your ex.
Yeah.
Your stepson. You're Izzy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
And now the other dogs of your stepson is coming in the picture, right?
Yes.
And Izzy becomes aggressive to the dog.
Yes.
Now when you put everything that you need, because if you have a ex-husband or boyfriend, his son, your stepson, you have Izzy. And now you have dog that represents something to the son that makes Izzy angry.
Yeah.
To that dog. And then when you broader the picture, what was the reason that you and your ex separated? Who is missing in that portion? When you have ex, you have a son of the ex, but in order to have a son of the ex, the son needs to have a mother. And then the Izzy become aggressive to the son's dog that was representing something in his life that he's missed so much that Izzy become aggressive one. So now you have a challenge that becomes your family system, and the family system of your son-in-law, of your stepson, become confronted.
Whew.
Because that system, your son's stepson system includes his mom.
Yeah.
And now Izzy becomes aggressive towards the dog of your stepson. Mm-hmm. So it's a pretty clear constellation. Who is unwanted in a relationship?
The mom.
The mom.
Yeah.
And then when you unreveal the situation, who is your ex in relationship with?
The mom.
So it's kind of like now when everything is gone, she's back in the picture.
Totally.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course, the Izzy was sending you the messages, girl, our time here is done.
Done. Yeah. Wow. And it was, because it was like a quick. It was
the little boy
Uh-huh.
brought her mom back in a family through the dog.
Through the dog.
Through the dog. Because for the boy, no matter which kind of relationship the father and the mother has, for the child, the parents remain the parents forever.
Yeah, yeah.
And the
You know,
child wants so hard to save the marriage of their parents that they would take a lot of burden on their own in order to save the marriage of the parents. So that's where and now just a little bit of knowing your story, and you shared it. Thank you for because it's you, in order to be as open as you are, you need to be so brave. So applaud to your bravery to join this call and to join this journey, because it's not easy to let secrets not overwhelm you.
yeah.
Not make secrets be even more impactful to your life because you are ashamed, or we all suffer from that.
Yeah.
But
Well, it helps so much, though, honestly. I mean, this is part of why I wanted to come and do this with you, because I think like everybody can benefit this. I am certainly not the only one that has been in this type of situation, and you try to make sense of it. You know, I with this situation, I tried so hard, and I was never trying to be his mother, but the dynamics are complex, right?
yeah, they
And
are.
we don't have any idea how a pet coming into that can be this representative and like give us this signal. Like that's what I mean. Like I knew Izzy's behavior changed drastically and I just didn't know why. You know, and again they tell you, oh, it takes time for them to adjust, and she never did. And the dog was very bonded to me too. Both of them were very bonded to me. But it makes so much sense when you say it in that thing that how
That's
Max was really scared of dogs until Izzy, and he got comfortable with dogs through Izzy, so much so he wanted his own.
yeah.
And then when we got one for him, it changed everything.
There you go. Now you have everything. Like he lived with who?
Both
The
of
guy,
us.
the Max.
He lived 50-50.
Yeah. But and now when you said he was scared of the dogs,
Yeah.
and after he met Izzy,
Yeah.
and you with Izzy together, his perception not only of the dogs, but of the feminine energy and of the different way of some mother can be or some other females can be, changed the perception of the guy or of the child towards his mother as well. Because that is what you told them, you and Izzy. He got him closer to the dogs that he needed as a resource in order for him to get closer to his mother. And that's what happened. That's the outcome of your relationship with them. That's it. You and Izzy are on your path, and them as a family reunited are on that path.
Yeah.
And the dog make it happen. And you would never know which kind of dynamic would be there if Izzy wouldn't be aggressive, or if you wouldn't need to worry about that, and if that's something that shouldn't bother you. So an order of harmony, this family constellation is put together.
Wow.
Then
I mean, I'm sorry, I just have to take a minute. That makes so much sense, though. I mean, it really makes so much sense that Max could have wanted his mom in our house. So that way, when we were all together, because we had a good relationship, but his mom is his mom. And so that way he had me, his dad, Izzy, and the representative of his mom all together when he was with us.
And then later he just got what he needed in order to. That's the dynamic. Then you become a part of the bigger picture, that destiny, and that's something that we cannot control. What we can do is turn destiny is in our behalf. So help us glide on the wind of the destiny. Yeah. Don't change it because it's unchangeable.
Well,
we chose the parents.
Yeah.
No. Once you need to, what's unchangeable?
No. I was saying then, instead of like, sometimes we look at a relationship that ends as failed, but if you see it through the eyes of destiny, Izzy and I were meant to collide with them, and we, in a sense, helped Max get closer to his mom.
Isn't that a nice and wonderful task to do for someone?
Yeah, it really is. And I mean, it doesn't feel like that when everything
you are going through
busts apart, but
yeah, because it was never a focus on a little guy, because he was in a relationship with his dad. Right? And it was all about getting Guy back to his mom.
Oh,
and you did it so perfectly.
So when you say Guy, you said it was about Max.
I mean, like a little Max. Yes,
It
it
was
was your
about
relationship.
getting Max back to his mom. That was my purpose.
I don't know, but it's kind of like out from this little constellation.
Yeah.
And then now you have a wonderful relationship. And how can maybe, you don't know, does this guy, Max sitting, writing his letters to you every single night, thanking you for making a place for his mom to come back.
Mm.
And if we switch the focus from this guy that we had a toxic relationship with to the benefit of how did we benefit it, and on a bigger scale, like you are the angel to someone, to the max. Are you still there? I got you frozen. Or I don't know, am I frozen?
Can you hear me?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, you are back.
I mean, there was good and bad in our relationship, like, everything. But with the distance, you're able to see he was one of my biggest teachers for me to, like you said, I mean, I definitely own my part in everything. And why I did what I did was what I did and got to learn, why I did those, why that pattern was there for me. But it's so interesting, this piece, I guess, more than focusing on me and my ex, like that all the reasons why people come together. And again, just understanding how there was such a contentious relationship between his mom and his dad. And I was caught in the middle in the triangle. I mean, she did not like me being there. Absolutely did not like me being there, even though her son and I got along well. And I told her I wasn't trying to be the mom and, just wanted to be supportive. It's amazing that this could still come out like it did,
Yeah. And now when you have all the pieces of the puzzle in a place, the memory to that relationship might heal on a different path, taking you to arms of something that will be completely new and unknown to your relationship moving on.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, to my relationship? Oh, you mean like that will teach me something?
The future relationship.
Oh, yeah. I think it helped me heal a lot of things.
So now, once we break the pattern, we break the pattern of the, same type of the people that we met and end up being in a relationship.
Yeah.
But for example,
can I ask you a question though, too? Could the dog that we got for Max represent something for me also?
Obviously, you and his mom are in, right?
Yeah.
And it might be because the dog stayed with them means that that's part of their system.
Yeah, that
but
was
of course but of course the system, the relationship, it's very complex once you are in a position to care about someone else's child and to have a stepson or stepdaughter, things like that. The family dynamic and the healing through the family constellation system is possible, but it's also sometimes not possible to preserve the relationship, right? But just to end it on the better terms.
Yeah,
that's what we end it on time, right?
Yeah.
And that if we don't know, because some relationships are meant to last until the common and the mutual interest is not fulfilled.
Yeah.
So we merge because of something, whatever something was. Maybe if you wouldn't be in a place of that Max, of that little guy, if his father would meet some other Shannon that doesn't have Izzy or whatever, that family for that little Max would never come together.
Come back.
And that you never know the destiny of that child, what that would bring. And then your benefits from learning, and then interact with the people of the same kind with a different in a different way, that finally leads us to handling the same type of the people with a different attitude. And then we leave the relationship when they are not hurtful enough and as much for us, because we are aware of the resources that we have at our disposal to use them when needed. And that's no better teachers for us, rather than dogs. And how do we come? The problem with the dogs is just we are not aware of that. In order to become aware of that, we need a order of harmony. We need a
Constellation. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I want to say,
to
everybody, go
know.
get this. I'm like, everybody should go
Yeah.
get this now. Because
Yeah,
it really clears up so much stuff, not just for, I mean, for everybody, for you, for your dog, for your family. Like it, I mean, I so
yeah.
wish I had known this back then, because I stayed longer trying. And actually the dog was bonded more to me, and really probably bummed Max out because he wanted to have that bond. But it also, like, our relationship, I stayed past the point, like you said, when it was that
Yeah, but
sign could have been a sign that, like, Izzy was trying to say, this is time for us to go, mom. Like,
yeah, and you see that, and you see like how the pattern comes. Like Easy comes in your life,
yeah.
you leave the corporate world.
Yes.
Max's dog come to your life, you leave a toxic relationship.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like the dogs are always coming into our life on the very important stepping stones. The question is, oftentimes you hear this, oh my God, we took a dog and the dog saved our marriage and things like that. It can happen. It can happen that the dogs are actually saving the relationship because they are bringing the forgotten and important resource of the healthy marriage and relationship that didn't existed in a relationship before that.
Okay.
But if the couple remains unaware of it and take a dog for granted as a dog, not as a representative, that marriage usually fails, like in a pieces, because there is a possibility. Everything is just a possibility. Will we use it or not? It might be a choice and a decision. Because when you know about the order of harmony, now when you know about the tools, now become a choice. And when we are consciously choosing not to use a resource, to pay for that is usually much higher than if you are not aware. If we are not aware of, failing because the law of gravity, because of the law of gravity, we have tables, we have chairs, but the fear of falling from the plane or off the roof of the house prevents us from, not being in a harmony with the law of gravity, and we can end up being hurt.
Yeah.
We can kill ourselves if we, but the law of gravity doesn't care, are you conscious about its existence or not, right?
Right.
It's there, But if you are conscious, you can use it to create airplanes. So you use a force in your behalf to serve you and then to take you from one point of the world to the another, because you are in harmony with the law.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it really does make so much sense. And, you and I hadn't talked about this piece, in the story. But it's really kind of nice to sort it out with you as we're explaining this to everybody, because had I left sooner when we got the dog, things would have been more harmonious. And in the end, I am really glad and thankful that that's the way it went, because it wasn't the best, obviously, for me. And it reunited them as a family. Me.
There you go.
Yeah, she had gotten divorced, so she was single again. And then when I left, he was single again. And then the three of them were able to be back together again.
Yeah. And you see what the power of little child. I can't imagine like his letter to the Santa Claus.
Yeah, right. And I'm happy for him, because all I ever wanted for him was to have everything that he needed and wanted, to be safe, healthy, and happy. And his parents argued all the time. And I think when her partner went away and when I went away, I think they get along better now.
It's again the constellation. No one can fit one shoes can be wear with the two legs. Two different person cannot fit in one pair of shoes.
Yeah.
And that's where the struggle comes, when we want to fit in a shoes that's not ours, and there is someone else already wearing those shoes. Yeah. That's how we lose our identity. That's how we lose our destiny. That is how we lose our identity, because I'm not who I identify I am. That's my perception of who I actually am. Until when I come to a sap of my existence, then doesn't matter who I am. Then I am.
Yeah.
And I don't depend of how the world sees me or who expects me or how you're going to call me or what you're going to label me I am. I don't mind.
Mm-hmm.
And that when I want to give a power to you and I identify and I want you to see me as I want you to see me, then it's actually a life of someone else that I represent. And I want to be seen beyond my existence, and that takes us nomad, in a very hidden dynamics and secrets of the family that are just revealed through my identity, who I am. Sasha, no, that's my name.
Mm-hmm.
Male, no, that's my sex.
Right.
Caucasian tanned guy, no, that's a purple, that's Miami,
Yeah.
and that's my color skin. But
Yeah.
it's not my sap of my existence. It's not who I am.
Right.
Right?
Yes. Yeah. Well,
Okay, I think I think
I
can
think
we
we're
end like
good.
here? I
Yeah.
could talk to you like
I
forever.
think it's a good place to end. And I just, again, we'll talk about this more in future episodes, but I am not kidding. This is so important. This is like scratching the surface of really how dogs integrate with our lives and how what we get to become conscious of so we can give them the best life and learn
Yes.
from them too,
So
because they are trying to teach us things also, but if we're not conscious, we miss it. Like
but yeah, because
we miss what they're communicating to us through their behavior.
yeah, that's not a behavior, it's a
It's a
communication. It's a way they
communication.
talk to us. Yes.
Yeah.
And that is what we learn. Doggy Mom Academy
Yeah.
is learning the doggy language.
Yeah.
Because if you want to communicate with your baby, you need to know the language. It's not English, it's not Swedish, it's not human language.
Well, and it's like when you're a first-time mom, you like the baby cries because it's hungry, tired, or has a wet diaper. Like,
and the dogs have a wolf-like behavior pattern and the thinking and emotional state and everything. And the wolf is very unique creature on the planet because the family dynamic is so hard and structured and embedded in their core DNA. Mm-hmm. And that is why why the wolf and the humans were able to join in the same family, because they're both, like humans are the pack of the, it's a family.
Yeah.
The definition of the family is the definition of the pack is a family.
Right.
So mother and the father with the different generations of the offspring.
Mm-hmm.
That's the same. If you would have a human family, it's a mother and the father with the different generations of the offspring.
Right. Yeah.
So that is why the dogs and the humans were able to join, because the dynamic of the pack and the family dynamic is a very simple and easy way of hierarchy structured.
Yeah.
But their hierarchy is structured based on the respect, and the leadership position is gained not by being alpha and being aggressive no, that's bullying.
That's bullying.
But the leadership position is leader inspires.
Right.
And if we learn the language of the leadership that inspires the family members and everyone around us,
yes,
in order to communicate with our dogs, then the dogs will willingly do whatever it takes to take us to wherever we need to go. And wherever humans, where do they go? To forever journey of self-discovery. And that is where the dogs are taking us. If you would be conscious about you and Izzy, and you and Max's dog, then you would be much able to faster recognize the patterns and the dynamics and the constellation and the messages that should be delivered, and faster action would bring the better and faster you would come where we are today.
Right.
I guess.
Yeah.
So just before we end, I want to thank my wonderful husband, Vedran, for his hard work of putting this show together.
Yes.
So we love you so much. He stopped being in front of the camera, but he's everything you see, probably the communication and whatever goes in a chat and everything is done by him. So a big shout out to his perfect and dedicated work that I wouldn't be able, we wouldn't have this show the way it's so much less distraction when we don't need to think about the technical things. So thank you, Vedran, for everything.
Vedran. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
He is. He's amazing.
I don't know. He's somewhere in his little IT room.
And again, like after this huge things, I just do want to emphasize though, on this closing note,
Okay.
Because when I found out about Doggy Mom Academy, that something like that exists, or Doggy Dad Academy, it's for both.
Doggy parent.
Doggy
It's
parent.
too much. Now we have, yeah.
Like you learn much more beyond than just your dog too. You learn so much about yourself and so much about them that like it's just like a must. I just hope everybody will check it out, because that session, just doing Order of Harmony, even if they didn't do the session with you on the Order of Harmony, would get them started, of just that understanding of where the dog's place is with them, their relationship with their dog, or their relationship within the family. So yeah, hindsight, I'm definitely going to do all of this before I embark on another dog. And now I know when I get a dog that dog is coming at that time for a reason also. So,
and usually the dogs they come unexpectedly. No matter how much you try, they come exactly when you go for one, you pick the other one. You don't even know where they come from and how did this happen? How did so fast happen? I wanted dog whole my life and here he comes, or I wanted another dog and we just didn't have a place and suddenly there is a place for another dog. Because every single dog, no matter how many of them, is in role of representing the resource we need in order to move our life forward. Isn't that need to go?
It's amazing. Gives me chills. Yeah. I mean, and I went to get one dog and I ended up getting Izzy. It was not what I had planned. Yeah. But
there you go.
She called out and I kept saying, getting distracted. And I said, well, who is this? And once I picked her up, the rest was history.
That was a match. That was a message from the destiny. That's a message from the higher source. It's a message from something greater than we can ever imagine. We can't.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it is. We just need to learn how to live the life in pure love and harmony. And what is the life in pure love and harmony? Is actually, acknowledging every single one as they are.
The order.
And once you understand. First, the order of harmony, the order of love, you're taking a responsibility for everything that need to be taken, but not more than that. That's also very important. Where the responsibility of mine stops.
Yes.
That's also order. That's order. And that's enough that I take responsibility, but not a single inch or single drop more than it's needed.
Yeah.
Then it become a burden. And no matter is it a burden size of a drop or an ocean, it's still in the water. And it can feel like,
too much. I know.
Too much.
Wow. It's a lot. Such good stuff. So good.
There you go. We're going to talk more about this stuff. I think this is a good pace. Oh my God, we are almost 2 hours. 2 hours and it looks like we just started. So welcome to Pure Love and Harmony podcast with Sasha and Shannon. And we see you next Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern time. Thank you, Shannon, so much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Sasha.
Bye.
Bye.